Welcome. It's Wednesday night, and this is Strange Theory. String Theory. That's it. Good night. A special welcome to our partners: Boucher, Levy's, G&G Music, The Guitar House, Brickhouse Guitars, Acoustic Shoppy, Parkway Music, K&K, Gallagher, Alvarez, Jerry, St. Louis Music, Yamaha, Close Guitars, Cody Guitars, D'Addario, Apollo Picks, Epiphone, Gibson, Blue Chip Picks, Tone Slab, LR Bags, Maestro Hosen Guitars, my friend George Crackett, Emerald Guitars, Nova Scotia SPCA, Tramblife Picks, Pickers Grip, Canard Guitars, Edmondson, Shenmo, Flamangs, Cirrus, Rickard Banjos, Deering Banjos, Bedell, Breedlove, Bromo, Dreamwood, Loudon, and our newest partner, JJB Pickups, out of just down the road from our friends at Cirrus Guitars. They're in Michigan, making some killer contact pickups. And that's about all there is to do. Bye. I'll just have to have a beer.
People are wondering what you were just playing.
I can't tell them because that's the question for tonight.
Oh.
Yes. So, I'm going to enjoy this Sapporo.
Right now?
Right now. I made myself dizzy trying to say all the whole list. Whew. Yeah. You have another camera to go there?
Yeah, there's a camera on Jack.
Where's Jack? Well, there he is.
Oh, Jill's shaking her butt on camera now. It's nice, Jill.
Dog butt. Yeah, so here we go, boys. Wednesday night. Chris is away working.
He's on his way home, but he'll be late.
Yeah, he won't make it. So that just leaves me and the lovely Ginger to sit here and take your abuse for an hour. And I'm all for it. Bring it on. Any questions?
There's a question from Adam K.
Adam K.
Do you still use picker's grip? I'm waiting for mine to be shipped. Hands are really sweaty. Can't hold the pick for manly.
I always have it handy. I have a pack up here, and I have a lipstick tube of it too.
So you can hold your pick in your lips?
You just draw it. What?
So you're going to hold your pick in your lips?
Yes. I'll go with that. Yeah, they have a lipstick version. You just draw it on the pick. And then it's just an X. That's all you need.
I might call it a tube version rather than a lipstick version, seeing as it's not actually.
Well, it's a lipstick tube, like a chapstick tube. It's a tube.
Or glue stick.
Or a dog penis.
No.
There's a little pink lipstick there, Jack?
No. Okay, no.
All right. The dog penis version of Picker's Grip.
Line has been crossed. Corner
Picker's
has been
Grip
rounded.
DP.
Oh, dear. No. Ew.
Any more questions?
Mm-hmm.
Bring them on. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
We got a whole hour. We don't have to mess around. There's no cable corner. There's lots of stuff going on, but, you're going to see it anyway.
No.
There's reviews being filmed. There's things being done. I've heard things. I've seen things. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. A question from Cameron Murgatroyd.
Cameron, how you doing?
Mm-hmm. What advice do you have for someone looking to get back into gigging after a hiatus? Also working up a version of Katie with Gowrie in CGD GBE tuning. Thanks to you and Gunning for that song.
Say that tuning again.
CGD GBE.
Well, that's an odd one. Well, that's a... Oh, I see, yeah. It's basically a drop C. It's Chet Atkins tuning that. Yeah. What was the question? How to get back? How to get back? I got lost in that tuning there.
Yep. Advice for getting back into gigging after a hiatus.
Get a gig and go play it.
That was deep.
Oh, there's really nothing else. That's about it. You just gotta
practice.
Do the same thing you did. I mean, if you're not ready to go play music, there's no point in thinking about going to do a gig. So if you need to practice, do that first, and then just go right back into the way you did it when you started. Nothing's changed. Nothing ever changes in this business. It's always the same. Always the same circular racetrack. It always has been. So there's nothing really different. You're not going to encounter any, great deficits or advancements in anything if you've been away from it for X number of time. Just it's still the same gambit. Just do whatever you did to get into it in the first place, and make sure your chops are up. That's all. The worst thing you want is come back from a hiatus and people go, well, he sucks. After you've been gone for a while because you haven't been practicing, they're like, he doesn't play as well as he used to. Don't give them the satisfaction. Practice your ass off before you go back out.
See, that's advice.
Yeah. Because people are
you
fickle.
got there eventually.
People are fickle and they're assholes, and they're just, give any excuse they can get to shit on you. So this is the music business. Remember that. Next. This is the bleak edition of string theory.
Apparently. It's the monosyllabic answers. A question from Norman Aben. Norman
Aben. I like Norman.
Your thoughts on Jethro Burns?
He was one of the greatest mandolin players that ever lived. He was perhaps the only jazz mandolinist that really existed. I know there's others, but he was doing it he was doing jazz mandolin back when Django was doing his thing in the 30s and 40s and 50s. Jethro was on the parallel line with him, and Stefan Grappelli only played mandolin. But if you listen to any of his recordings, you will be shocked at what that guy could bring out of a four-string instrument with probably horrible action. And those old mandolins were not the most playable, and he still managed to make it sound like I don't even know what. It's just unbelievable. Yeah, there'll never be another Jethro Burns, ever. He was one of a kind. No one's ever copied him that I know of, because they can't, and that's saying something. It's just like Vassar Clemens. No one has ever copied him, because they can't. And if they did, I don't know that they could do it exactly like he did it. There's only a few people in musical history, really, that came on the scene, altered the path of music forever, and then died. And no one was ever really able to emulate what they did. Django Reinhardt is one, Jethro Burns is another, Vassar Clemens is another. And then you start getting into the weeds of, has anybody really achieved the mastery of the five-string that Earl Scruggs did? Or the master of the guitar like Chet did? Or all these things. We've all tried to emulate these guys, and people do it every day. But is there really... There's no way to replace them. But Jethro Burns and Vassar and Django, and even Stefan Grappelli to a large extent, they were not copyable. They were... You could try, but it would be pointless, because it was just the way it was. They had something that nobody had before them, and they invented it on the spot as they went, And yeah, I mean, there's not very many players in history you can say that about. Most of us, especially today, there's no originality today. It's all just guys emulating all their heroes, able to, access information about these players just ad nauseum online, because that's the way the world is now. When I learned, there was no online. So I literally had to learn what I learned from spinning an LP over and over and over and over again. Now you can look up anything and slow it down, see it in front of you because it's a video. Like, this is another world. So yes, the shops are coming higher and higher. But the fact of the matter is nobody's doing anything new. It's all just a rehash of the masters. All the guys who changed everything. The guys who you can point and say that's when things changed. Doc Watson, Tony Rice, Dan Crary. After that, there was nothing. It was just us trying to catch up to them. And that's definitely the way it would be for Jethro Burns, except nobody ever caught him. Nobody ever caught him. And they never will. He was just an absolute genius. So, good question. And a good topic, and I'm glad somebody's listening to him. Current arcs.
Question from Bronze Snake.
Bronze Snick.
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 Is JP a fan of Graham Parson?
I don't know. I know who Graham Parson was, but I know he was I don't even want to show my ignorance because I don't know that much about him. I know he was highly influential on Emmylou Harris, and that's about all I know about him. And he was in some killer bands, and he died too young, and that's about all I know. There's certain parts of music history that pass me by somehow, and that's one of them. That whole sort of California country thing, the whole load of them, Chris Hillman. I know about the Byrds because of Clarence White, but there was a lot of that music that just went over my head. It was just not related to what I was studying. Except I know when I hear them on the radio, I know when I hear those songs on the oldie stations where they are, where they're from, where they came from, the history of them. But I don't own any records with him on them. So, yeah, he was brilliant, but I don't know much about him.
Mm-hmm. I got a highlighted chat from Jim Waller.
Ooh, extra liquor.
Extra.
Jim Waller.
Yes, sir.
Why don't you ask me a question there, Jimmy, while I open this extra liquor?
Why is it extra?
Because I just found it and it's here.
He asked, how often do you use a jumbo when you're on tour or in the studio? I want one, but keep asking myself why. A Black Elvis J200 or someone else's version?
No, that's not a jumbo. If you want to buy a jumbo, buy a Guild, because you'll pay way less for that than a Gibson. Gibson SJ200s, especially the black ones, I don't know. SJ200s right now are not that good. I've just played for 3 or 4 of them in the last couple of months because I wanted to get one. But they're just not worth the money. And if you want that kind of Gibson jumbo, go to the Epiphones. The inspired by Gibson Epiphone SJ200s, they're killer. They actually compete with the Gibson models. So, yeah, buy that. Buy a Guild. Buy, who else makes great jumbos? Crackit. Crackit makes killer jumbos.
Which jumbos do you have right now?
They're all Bouchers.
Are they?
I have Merlin and I have the Enola Gay, and That's it. I have two.
What's Lancelot?
Lancelot's a dreadnought.
Dreadnought.
He's the brother to Merlin.
Right.
Yeah, same wood, different body shape. But yeah, I love them. I use them all the time. I've toured with all those instruments. I toured for a long time with a Taylor jumbo, way back in the day.
You can play your whole show on a jumbo?
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're great guitars. They're not as scary as people think they are. They just got lots of color and lots of tone, and lots of bottom end, and I like that. So, and Jill is doing arsehole ballet on the floor over here.
On camera, even.
We got her on camera?
Oh yeah.
Where is the camera that's pointing at Jack? I can't tell.
It's beside the stool.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, Jack passed out in the carpet.
Mm-hmm.
Kernarched.
Super chat from Jim Waller.
Wasn't that just Jimmy there?
It was.
Oh, hey, buddy, go come back.
Yeah, he says, R.I.P. Brian Wilson.
What's that?
Apparently Brian Wilson died.
What? Oh, no. Are you serious?
But that's what he says. I don't know myself.
Oh, my God. Correct. That sucks. That sucks. Well, here's to one of the greatest musical minds that ever came into the world. Brian Wilson was... What do you even say? Holy shit. I wish I could have just gone for shopping in that guy's head for just 5 minutes. Damn it. That absolutely sucks. Anyhow, here's to Brian. Guitar heads eternum. What a difference he made in the world. Yeah, absolutely. Shit. Thanks for letting me know, Jimmy. I didn't have a clue. I also read something the other day that Willie Nelson's not well. Possibly on his deathbed. But I don't know if it's true or not. You can never tell anymore. The goddamn internet, what's real and what's fake. It's just like, yeah, so-and-so is dying, and you click on the thing, and it's like, he's dying because his cock's so big from this new medication. Like, it's just, what the fuck. I hate the internet. Anyhow, we're on the internet, so I guess we have to, yeah, take the good with the bad.
He has his good points. Yeah.
Okay, next.
Mm-hmm.
Shit, Brian Wilson. Son of a bitch.
Super chat from Mark Smith.
Mark Smith.
Long time no see.
I love you.
Thanks for the Jerry Reed 101 class after our session today. Monster player, singer was fantastic.
Yeah, you guys wait till you hear Mark's record. Shit. He's awesome. We're having a blast in here. We got 8 songs done. Well, 8 beds. You got 2 more to do. We'll be working on it next month. Mark's a very, very talented man. Great writer. Great singer, guitar player. Just floored us in here. Here's to Mark.
Mm-hmm.
Mark Smith.
Mm-hmm.
Connected.
You're talking faster than they're typing.
Hold that thought.
I don't have any thoughts. Where are you going? Guess we're here to talk amongst ourselves. What are you doing?
I had to grab a speaker.
Oh. Poor Jack.
Definitely going to burn our royalties.
Oh.
But unfortunately,
My God, Jack.
sometimes you just gotta do our thing. Let's hear Brian at the top of his game. This was the last thing he recorded before the band broke up and he went insane. He cracked up in an airplane on the way back to California, had a massive nervous breakdown. And because I fully know, and I don't suspect that I know, that the reason that he lost his mind was he couldn't cope with the amount of music in his head. So you hear this, there's 5 of them singing, but he wrote all the parts. and singing the high part. This is still one of the most brilliant things I ever heard in my entire life. But we're going to hear it now. We got to. That's about the most brilliant 1 minute and 4 seconds that I've ever heard in my entire life. Brian Wilson, everybody. Jesus, to hell with the monetization. I'm crying and I'm laughing a little. Jesus, what a mind he had. Unbelievable. Questions now?
Nope. There you have it. Glitched there for a second.
Questions?
Yeah, his question from Peter Raban.
Peter Raban.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any thoughts or opinions you'd like to share about fellow Canadian Neil Young?
He's an institution. Neil Young, I mean, I love Neil Young, and he's a Canadian, but, I mean, he hasn't lived here for a long, long time. To me, he's an American act, right? Because he went down there and did what all the great guys did. They went to the States and made it big in the States and, transformed American music. So, like, to me, he's like more of a world artist to me. Whenever I think of Neil Young, Canada's not the first thing I think of, because he means so much to the whole world, and especially to America. He's like his influence on rock and folk music in the States all through the 60s right to, now. It's been humongous, right? And, yeah, so that's sort of how I feel about him. I people say, yeah, fellow Canadian, whatever, but to me, he's an Americana legend, he went down there and changed everything for those guys. Proud he's Canadian, but to me, it's not the first thing I think of, because I think he's bigger than that. Same as Joni Mitchell. I mean, she's Canadian, but I don't think of her that way either. She's also like this child of the world, because she influenced so many people. Strangely enough, I think of Hank Snow as a Canadian, because he kept his. You could tell that guy was from Lunenburg County, because I lived there. That's where I'm from. So, for most part of my childhood was spent there, and he didn't lose any of his Canadianism in his vocals or the way he played the guitar, or he sort of just transplanted himself. And if you read his story, if you know about his story, he forced himself into the business down there. Nobody wanted him. It was very difficult for him to get where he got to, and he just wouldn't give up. He carried literally a horse and pony show in a trailer all over the southern United States for years and years and years, just self-promoting and putting on shows for no people, and he really forced his way. He wouldn't give up. And that's Canadian, right? That's a Canadian trait. He just wouldn't give up, and he stayed at it until he got where he wanted to be. And so I feel more inclined to call him a Canadian, and Anne Murray as well. She's more Canadian to me, even though she spent just as much time in the U.S. and had most of her success in the U.S. She's Canadian to me for some reason. I don't know why that is. It's weird. It's a combination of how she sounds and the material she chose all her career. There's something very Canadian about her. And, yeah, it's interesting. Yeah. That's a whole show. Why these Canadian artists maintain their Canuckism in their careers and others don't. They transcend it, where it really doesn't matter where they're from. They're so international and so relatable to every single human and color and creed and whatever. They transcend nationality somehow. It's a very interesting story, a very interesting concept. It's almost something you could write a thesis on. Yeah. Next.
Question from Seth Wright.
Seth Wright.
Is a Gallagher G70 with an Appalachian red spruce top a good starting point for bluegrass jams?
Hell yeah.
It was a gift from my loved ones. I'm very new to this, and I'd love to know what I got.
You've got a cannon, is what you've got. The G70 is one of the best guitars they ever built. And don't forget that red spruce is Adirondack, just another name for Adirondack. Red spruce is Adirondack. So, not only do you have a cannon, you have a cannon with the best top you can put on a guitar. And Gallagher is building some of the best guitars in the world. Right now, they're doing it. And so I don't know how old your Gallagher is, but if it's from the 70s and 80s, it's a killer probably. They had some difficulties before they sold the business to David Mathis. They shut down for 4 or 5 years, and the quality of the instruments went way down when Don retired. And but now they're right back at the level and beyond of what J.W. himself did in 1965 and through 1975, 78. And so yeah, you've got a killer guitar. Anybody gives you a hard time about bringing a Gallagher into a bluegrass jam, you just tell them to kiss your arse. Doc Watson played one. So that's enough. That's all you got to tell them. Kurt next.
It's a 2024.
You've definitely got a cannon. Absolutely got a cannon. David Mathis and the crew built that guitar. It's a monstrous beast, that thing. Next.
It says, you were the one that taught me about Doc and Merle. I was floored when the groceries I was supposed to bring in turned into a guitar.
That's how it happens around here. I tell Ginger I'm going up for a pack of smokes and some milk, and I come back with a Martin or a Taylor or one of these things, which I'm not naming. Next.
We get a highlighted chat from Neil Hudson.
Neil Hudson.
What's in the construction of an arch-top guitar that makes it sound different, and do you own one?
I have. I don't own one right now. What was the question? What's the difference in construction?
Yeah, what is it about the construction?
Well, arch-top instruments are carved. That's the difference. They're not bent into that shape. They're carved into that arch. So
why does that make it sound different?
What?
Why does that make it sound different?
Because it's not flat. Completely changes the tone because the tone's moving, bouncing in a different way. It's more convoluted than a flat top guitar. And it's carved. So depending on the skill of the person carving the top and the back is what decides what the guitar is going to sound like. Because if they don't know what to carve out of it and leave behind, right? It changes the sound. The greatest archtop instruments that were ever built were built by Gibson way, way back at the turn of the 20th century. And the L5 and like all the guitars that Mother Maybelle played and Don Gibson played, and their archtop instruments were just astounding because they knew. Okay, so think of an archtop guitar the same way you would think of a cello, because it's exactly the same premise. The top and the back of a cello are not bent into that rounded shape. They're carved out of a solid piece of maple and a solid piece of spruce. So they're carved out like a boat. They're bowl-like, right? And that carving is so subtle that it's there's a million variables about how you do that process to make the top vibrate the most. There's all kinds of variables. How heavy the bridge is, whether there's a lot of metal in the bridge, if the adjustment screws are too heavy or too large, the type of tail piece you put on it, whether it's floating, supported, muted, all these things, right? Archtop guitars are very complex instruments because it's just not the same beast at all. You have no strings. The bridge different? What?
The bridge?
Yeah, the bridge is like a mandolin bridge. Mm. So you have no strings penetrating the top of the guitar. There's no bridge plate that I'm aware of. And maybe there's something in there, but it's not a bridge plate. So it's a solid piece of wood. There's no holes in it except the F-holes. So, yeah. And, of course, they made archtop instruments with round sound holes, little round ones, too, in the middle. But mostly F-holes. So
F-holes and A-holes?
Yeah. That's exactly what they are. It's true. They were called F's and A's.
It's still funny.
Yeah.
Whether or not it's
F-holes
true.
and A-holes. And elbows.
I feel like that could be a series on mandolins.
Yeah. Next.
Let's call the series F-holes and A-holes. And do a whole review on mandolins.
Any more questions?
You don't like my suggestion?
Oh, I'm just writing it down over here. I'm going to do it.
You look like you're drinking.
Oh, you can see me. Shit. Your back is turned. You always turn. I don't know if you look at me.
I have 3 versions of you in front of me.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Yes, it's 2 more than you need. Probably 3 more. I don't know how she puts up with me. Good woman. Monstrously good.
You got I don't figure if it's a question or a comment, but something from Jacob Foltz Music.
Jacob Volks?
Foltz. F-U-L-T-Z.
Oh, Foltz. Okay.
I bought a Gibson J45 brand new about 1.5 years ago. It's starting to get a belly behind the bridge. I switched from 12s to 10s. I don't know what that means. And it seems to have helped so far. What would you recommend?
Fire.
What is 12s? What are 12s and 10s?
The gauges of the strings.
Oh.
So you should not be using 10s. That guitar is designed for 12s. 12 to 53s is what I use. And if you have a belly behind the bridge and it's brand new, you should take it right straight back to Gibson. Because that's not right. That's bullshit. And again, I've been saying this for years now. The larger companies aren't paying attention. And that's the type of thing that happens. The only way you can fix that is to take it to Gibson and have them fix it, or take it to a shop that does a thing they call the belly doctor, where they take the guitar and they put the steam and clamp system on it that pushes that belly back down. But the problem is with that, it's never the same. And there's no telling, it doesn't guarantee that it won't belly all over again when it gets fat.
Isn't a belly like when it sinks?
No, belly's when it raises up. That's the next problem.
Oh, I thought that was a bulge.
If it bellies behind the bridge, you're looking at the potential of the bridge lifting, because the bridge is rigid. So if the top is lifting behind it, it means the edges of the bridge are not. They're being forced to let go of their adhesive, right? The bridge is flat, the belly's round, pop. There goes the edges of your bridge. So, I don't know whether I'd stand for that. Because I've got 50 some guitars in here, and guess what? None of them are bellied. Not one of them. They've been dry, they've been wet, they've been dry, they've been hot, they've been cold. They've been everywhere you can imagine all over the planet. There's not one guitar in here with a belly. Sorry to tell you. And I don't humidify them. I just make sure the room is nice year round, and around 40, 45 all year round. In the summer, I give them a really nice big drink when it's humid, and they still don't belly because they just don't. They're well made. So, yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sorry to hear it. I am. What was he saying?
Steven. He says, "Belly behind the bridge" is the name of JP's After Hours show.
Jesus.
Guys.
Aren't we funny?
Belly behind the bridge. I like it. It's like, it would be better if you were like a captain of a ship or something.
My belly behind his ass in a minute. Go ahead, next.
That's a different kind of After Hours show. Dear.
You're clearly not reading questions fast enough if Baker has time to insult me.
There aren't that many questions.
Oh.
They're just chatting amongst themselves. Let's see. Oh, Jacob says, "I live in the asshole of Eastern Kentucky, so I will be without my main guitar for too long if I send it back. Music is my main source of income. Time to go back to my recording king."
Yeah, I would. Or take it somewhere that can do the belly doctor thing on it.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll work. Sometimes they do. Some shops even guarantee it. But there's no guarantee. It's impossible to guarantee something like that. But I know your pain. I've had plenty of guitars fail. And they're always fucking Martins and Gibsons and Taylors. But, well, Taylor's not too bad. But when they fail, they go big. Martins especially, too. Bridges come off. Gibsons, it's usually pick guards falling off. And not so much bridges lifting, but I don't know. It's hard to say. You can't deal with a lot of this stuff because sometimes I wonder if I'm being too hard on any of them, because they are building, 1 million guitars a year, right? The demand is there, and so they're just getting them out the door as fast as they can get them out, and that's not real conducive to, having consistency when there's only like 3.5 minutes to final inspect an instrument before you put it in the case and send it to the shop. That's all it is. It's like 3 or 4 minutes is all they have with each guitar. So, I don't know. I wish you the best of luck. I'd hate to see you lose that guitar or give up on it because of that. So I would just, find somebody who can do the belly doctor deal. Kernurxt?
Question from Adam K.
Adam K.
I have a Tanglewood that I refuse to replace with warranty because of memories. It's 10 years old and was about $450. If it has good memories, should I fix it?
What's wrong with it?
A belly beat bridge. I mean, maybe behind the bridge? I think same thing, belly behind the bridge.
Yeah, same thing. Well, you get the $400 guitar, and I mean,
if it's sentimental value.
Yeah. I mean, you're going to spend more on the belly doctor than you will on the guitar.
Or keep it as a nice wall decoration.
Yeah. Yeah, I used to play Tanglewoods. They're good guitars. They were. They're not very roadworthy. They don't last a long time out in the elements. Mike Elliott used to play an acoustic Tanglewood bass, and that we had terrible problems with that thing. It was always moving and switching and swelling and dropping, and the pickup would stop working because the piezo lost contact with the saddle in the slot because the top was doing this, right? So, yeah. It's also like it's a poor choice of top wood as well. It causes that sort of thing.
Like specific piece or type of wood?
No, it's a specific piece. They're supposed to be careful about, watching for the grain tightness and tuning the top and making sure that it's rigid where it's supposed to be rigid and it's dry enough to build with, and blah, blah, blah. Like, there's just so many things. But again, when you're trying to push out at 1.2 million guitars a year, you don't have time to deal with that. They do everything quickly. They dry quickly. They kiln quickly. They tap tune, probably not even themselves, but electronically do it. And they shoot a laser at it and figure out what the dimensions of the thickness are throughout the whole top, and then they go with that mathematical formula and build 100,000 guitars in 1 month. So, yeah, it's pretty weird. Next.
Steven says, referencing the belly in the guitar, you can also just wait. If the guitar gets divorced in his late 40s or early 50s, the belly will disappear.
He's in his tub, isn't he?
He's definitely in the tub.
Next.
Let's see. We got a super chat from Jim Waller.
Jim Waller.
D'Addario's new XS Phosphor Bronze Light Plus. 12.5 to 54. I have a set coming. Just for what the hell's sake. Interesting.
Yeah, some people like the heavier E string, and I mean the bass end. Like Tony Rice did that. Tony Rice used a medium gauge set of strings, but the fucking big E was a 57 instead of a 56. So, yeah, pretty weird.
So yours are 1252s?
1253.
53. So it's 12.5 to 54. So like a minor difference.
Yeah, well...
How much of a difference do you think it would make?
Well, it might make a shitload of difference because like... What do you say? 12 to 54?
12.5 to 54.
So that's an in-between medium and light.
Yeah, they're light plus.
But it also depends on what the other strings are. So you might be adding a couple of pounds to the pressure on the guitar with the extra whatever it is, but I don't know. I've been using lights for so long with such great success that I can't go back to mediums, and every time I try to use one of these weird hybrid gauge things, they don't sound right. The gauges they just don't sound right. The E sounds, if you use an off size between 53 and 56, right? It's sometimes they sound thuddy and weird. They don't have a great resonance to them for some reason. I have no idea what would cause that, except that maybe guitars are just used to a certain pound per square inch if you've played them with a certain gauge for so long, and I don't know, it could be a million things, but I've never had luck with any of those hybrid string gauges. I've either just been medium or lights, and probably because as well that difference between 12 and 12 and a half is so minute that, like, what the hell difference does it make, right?
Well, would one make a difference, like 53 to 54? If 12 and a half, if a half is minute,
well, yeah,
one you would think would also be.
But the bass E string matters a lot because it's powerful. It's the most powerful string on the guitar. So, 13 to 56 compared to 12 to 54. 12 to 53. Yeah, so there's two 100 or whatever they are, 1,000ths or whatever it is of an inch. It matters because I know it matters because it changes the sound of the guitar. Absolutely changes it. And the other pressure problem is the same thing that Robin told me. When you put medium gauge strings on a guitar, it freezes the bridge. Keeps the bridge from vibrating. It's because the bridge is trying not to pull off the top of the guitar. So not putting so much pressure on it allows it to vibrate more of the top in the bottom bout. And that's the whole key. Why light gauge strings sound better on every guitar. And I don't care who you are, you can fight me. They just do. They don't. Medium gauge do not sound as good as light gauge strings. They don't bring the whole voice of the guitar out. So, yeah. I mean, I even use lights on my jumbos, and they sound wicked. So, Kurt Ernst.
You pretty much use the same strings on everything.
Yeah, I changed brands a bit, but I'm switching between Elixirs and XS and Stringjoy right now.
But all the same gauge.
All the same gauge, yeah.
Do you still have that bass with the rubber strings?
Nope.
No.
I sold that bad boy. That was a Kala uke bass.
I got a super chat from Tim Bennett.
Where is he at now?
He said he's home from India for the summer.
Sweet.
He's off to Latvia in the fall.
Latvia. Jesus.
Yeah.
All right.
He says, love this, keep it up, have a coffee on me.
Okay, cool.
The adventurer.
I'd say.
Joe with the classic How Do We Tune a Badger?
How do we tune a badger? Anything? Anybody?
Processing. Stephen and Tim are meeting up in Latvia.
Sweet.
Just doing a little social organizing here. I don't see any questions. Joe said, did you throw Chris over the balcony?
Yes, but he should make his way back up here by next week. We'll let him crawl up.
Be out of traction.
Yes. And Jill is making a bed.
Of course. Oh, wait, no.
That rather involved in making a bed.
Because the underside of a sheepskin is always better than the actual fuzzy
Yeah, she just doesn't want the fluffy part.
Oh, have you ever played any of the PRS acoustics?
Lack of questions has forced me to noodle.
Yes, there are two. Have you ever played any of the PRS acoustics?
Yes.
And?
Garbage.
All right. Succinct. Highlight chat from JJ Allen. When you're going to start the tour of all your guitars? The the studio tour, guitar tour.
Yeah, that's a
series.
that's a week-long project. I have to have Ginger here for that for several days. One of these days. I'm actually going to... I think I've already mentioned this, but we've designed a new show called Road Dog Reviews, where I'm going to go back through every one of my guitars, starting with the oldest one first. I'm going to do a report on how it's held up over years, sometimes decades. Like, my oldest Boucher is 12 years old, so you will see the whole collection at that point. Because a lot of the guitars that I don't keep won't even be in there, because I haven't toured with them and don't intend to. So some of I just can't keep them all. I wish I could, but I just don't have the space. So but the ones that matter, and there's a lot of them. I have a book over there with all of them listed. It's just trying to get them out, all of them out.
It'd be good to do it by collection, like your Yamaha collection, your Boucher collection.
Yeah. My Yeri collection, Gallagher.
Yeah, and just do it by...
Crackett.
Maybe group a couple of them together if you only have one or two or something.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. A question from Adam K.
Adam K.
When singing and playing live with a mandolin or guitar with a Fishman amp, do you put any of the guitar signal in your monitors? What is your mix in monitor?
Vocals only. That's what the amp's for. I never put the guitar on the monitors. I only want to hear my guitar coming from one place with one EQ on it. So you can't... It doesn't matter what you do. Any signal that you send into another speaker is going to sound different because the speaker's different. So I never put my Fishman in my monitor. I only want to hear the Fishman version of my guitar with the K&K pickup of my EQ. That's the mix that gets sent to the board. That's it. Vocals are the only thing I put in my monitors ever.
Super chat from Ted Whitmore. He's wondering why Stompin' Tom didn't get a mention when he talked about Neil and Canadian artists.
Because that's a no fucking brainer. Tom never left the country. So that's what I was speaking about specifically, was Canadians that left here. Tom never left here. So obviously he's about as Canadian as you can get. Mm-hmm. He had no interest in playing in the U.S. Too bad, because he would have been a superstar. They'd have lost their minds over him down there. He could have done it if he wanted to. I don't know why he didn't, but we'll never know.
Mm-hmm. Highlight chat from Tim Bennett.
Tim Bennett.
Any shows in northern Nova Scotia this summer? Cumberland, Pictou, Antigonish.
You just have to check the website, brother. There's so many gigs, I don't know where they are.
You've got some on the road to Canso, like the pre-Stanfest shows?
Yeah.
There's one of those in Antigonish in there?
Yeah, there's so many. You just have to go look at the website. I can't keep track of them all. I know they're up there. I got Kitchen Fest coming up. I've got
Cape Breton.
The Cost Center. I've got, that's northern Nova Scotia. So, yeah, you have to check the website. There's probably a dozen shows up there this year. You have to figure out which one.
Mm-hmm. Come to Stanfest.
Yeah, have you ever been to Stanfest? He loves Stanfest. Or next.
JP's faves in the 3,000 to 4,000 range. I'm assuming they mean guitars.
3,000 to 4,000.
Mm-hmm.
Yamaha, no question. Shenmue, no question.
Are they in that range?
Yep. Bromo, another one that I haven't reviewed yet, but I will. Bromo is Indonesian. I think they're Indonesian or I can't remember. I'll get more information.
They were Filipino, I think, weren't they?
Yeah, they're Philippines, I think. Yeah, I mean, just ridiculously good for nearly nothing. They make guitars that look like, Gibson Custom Shop guitars for $1,000, all solid wood. Just, it's insane. So yeah, I mean, Jesus, that's about. I mean, there's probably more I can't think of right now, but those for sure. And
where did Gallagher's fall?
Alvarez is another one. They're $1,000, $1,000 to $3,000 guitars. You can get some of the handmade guitars for that. and they're incredible. They're just amazing. I have several of them, and yeah, so yeah, you get lots of choices. Okay, next.
Question from Rob Richardson.
Rob Richardson.
This may be a stupid question. When you're on stage, what accessories do you have within reach, i.e. spare strings, picks, capo, etc.?
All I have is my capo, my picks. That's it.
But just the ones you're using, you don't have extras?
Nope. No, I have nothing extra. Simpler the better.
Just rely on Coop for that.
He doesn't even know what I use.
You figure it out.
I've never broken a string on stage, so...
They say they don't see any shows listed on your website. Steven.
Yeah, Steven, what the fuck? This is the second time I've heard this. My calendar is full. So should be the website, jerky. Okay, next.
A question from Mike Gadet. Would you use your amp with a guitar and mic?
I don't know what that means.
I'm not sure if they mean a mic'd guitar or... Because you use it all the time with like a vocal mic and your guitar plugged in.
Yeah, you have to specify what you mean.
I'm not sure.
Are you talking about plugging a mic into the amp? Because Fishmans do that. Or are you talking about miking the amp? Or are you talking about having a vocal mic in the amp running simultaneously? If you tell me which one, I can answer it. But I actually can answer it without that, because the answer is... I don't ever sing through my amps because I don't want to blow them up. They're designed for it, but I have no interest in doing it to them. And I never mic my amps. The amps I use all have a post-EQ XLR output that goes directly to the soundboard, and that's why I use them. So the sound man gets my mix. It's a post-EQ, which means the signal is going through the preamp and the EQ on my amp, and the effects and the volume and the gain structure and all that's coming down the line to his board. I don't use vocal mics in guitar amps. Although they're designed for it, it scares the shit out of me. In one wrong note, and I'm a really loud singer by times, and I could see myself just blow. They're not really that type of speaker to carry that kind of, somebody screaming into a vocal mic. So... that's the answer, no matter which one he meant. Next.
A question from Chuck.
Chuck who?
Just Chuck.
Chuck. Up Chuck. Chuck Wagon.
Anything you want. What is your opinion of...
No.
What? Ovan call?
Ovan call, yeah.
As a tone wood?
Beautiful. Love it. I've had several guitars built out of that stuff. It's gorgeous. It's a little bit like Coco Bolo, except it's more exciting looking. Oven call is beautiful. I had a bass built out of it too, which was beautiful. Electric bass made it oven call. Very, it's poor man's wood, but it don't sound like it. So anyhow, is that all the questions?
There is a question about explaining what it is you're playing, but can we do the question and then after the question give them details?
Yeah. So here's the question, is what the hell is the name of that thing I've been playing all night?
Do they need the brand and the type or just the type of
instrument? I just want to know what it is.
All right. Why don't you play it while they think? And I push buttons. There you have it. Oh, we got a Mando rocket sled.
Amanda hug and kiss.
Let's see, get all the way to the top here. Jim Waller says octave mandolin.
That's correct.
Is he on the list yet?
But he's number 12. Who's next?
We got mandolin, Mandela.
Nope. Octave mandolin.
Steve Shirley says Eastman octave mandolin.
Steve who?
Shirley.
There you go, Steve. You're number 17. Let's take one more. We haven't taken two for a while.
Prairie Ghost Ken called it an Octavia mandolin.
Nope.
Is that different? Octave. I think it might have been a typo.
You think so? Octavia is not quite the same as octave.
Octava. Well, it's octave. It would have been octave if it was an E, not an A.
Oh, okay, give it to him. What's his name?
It's Prairie Ghost Ken. Kenny.
Prairie.
Used to be Kenny.
What?
Yeah. Prairie Ghost Ken.
You're number 18. Prairie Ghost Ken. That's quite a name.
He changed.
There's a handle
his
we won't
handle.
forget. All right, boys and girls.
Do you want to tell them all the things about it, or
What?
just is that you said you're just gonna go with Easton octave mandolin, and
That's what it is. It's a giant mandolin.
is there any more information?
No.
No, but no. Okay.
It's tuned an octave lower than a regular mandolin. It's identical to a mandolin. It's just bigger. So we can handle the bigger strings. That's it. It's a lovely rhythm instrument and lead instrument for recording. It's a great voice. Ginger actually has one that's a mandolin size of this exact model. This is just the larger cousin of her mandolin. One octave tuned, one octave lower. That's it. Pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, we will see you. Let's see. I'll make sure when we're going to see you.
Oh, how is it different from a bazooki?
A longer neck, different region. Bazookies are a Greek instrument, and they're flat on the top and the back.
Oh.
An octave mandolin is arch top, arch back, just like a mandolin is. Yes, we will be back here next Wednesday night. Are you going to be here, Ginger? Possibly, maybe, possibly.
I think so.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Love you guys. Stay cool, stay calm. We will see you next Wednesday night on